There is a kind of strength the world never notices. It doesn't shout. It doesn't break things. It doesn't beg to be seen. It endures. Quietly. Unshakably. Alone. Capricorn, if no one has said it to you before, let it be spoken now, out loud, and with the weight it deserves. You have suffered in silence for years. And it was never weakness. It was your power, unrecognized. You walked into rooms with people who smiled at your face but took from your energy. You stayed late while others left early. You paid bills you didn't owe. You carried emotional weights that weren't yours to carry. And still, you showed up. But this is what no one ever talks about. Not even you. Because Capricorn never complains. You just keep going. Even when you're drowning inside. But something is happening now. And this isn't just a phase. It's not another test. This is the divine order realigning itself, not because you begged for it, but because the universe finally decided you've done enough. You see, fate doesn't forget. The laws of this universe, written in invisible ink, record everything. Every sacrifice. Every silent tear. Every moment you said I'm fine when you were anything but. You were never invisible to the higher realms. You were being refined. Molded. Tempered like steel. And now, everything that was taken from you returns not in the form of what you lost, but in the form of who you've become. This is not a warning. This is not a prediction. This is your cosmic notification that the contract of suffering you've carried has ended. Tonight, tomorrow, or maybe next week, something will shift. At first, it might feel small. A look from someone that carries unexpected respect. A phone call you weren't expecting. An idea that lands in your mind with so much clarity, you'll wonder where it came from. Don't dismiss it. These are not coincidences. These are whispers. Whispers from the very forces that watched you suffer and waited for the moment they could finally reward your soul. So listen closely now, because everything after this moment will be different. Not because the world changed, but because you have. Your strength is no longer silent. It's sacred. And now it's being restored. Part 1. The hidden contract you never signed. Capricorn, you never agreed to this. You didn't sign up to carry your family. You didn't volunteer to be the reliable one in every room. The responsible one in every crisis. The one who never breaks even when you're already broken inside. But somehow, you've lived as if you had. As if there was some secret contract written before your first breath that said, you will carry the weight. You will be the mountain. And no one will ever ask how heavy it feels. No one handed you that contract. But you lived by it anyway. Why? Because your soul knew something that your mind couldn't explain. That strength, when forged in silence, becomes indestructible. Capricorn, you've been walking this earth not just as a human being, but as a pillar in people's lives. A quiet lighthouse in other people's storms. You never chased spotlight. You chased stability. You never asked to be admired, only to be trusted. But here's the brutal truth. While others admired your strength, they forgot your softness. While others leaned on your shoulders, they never wondered if your knees were shaking. And while you carried them, no one carried you. That is the hidden contract you've been living under. A soul agreement that no one else even sees. But the universe sees it. It always has. And now it is being rewritten. Because the burden you've carried wasn't just personal. It was ancestral. It was karmic. It was cosmic. You've been breaking cycles that go back generations. Cycles of scarcity, silence, survival. And maybe you were too busy surviving to realize it. But you've already won. You didn't fall apart when others did. You didn't give up, even when no one clapped. You kept showing up. And now, the universe is showing up for you. So let's be clear. This next chapter of your life, it will not be built on sacrifice. It will be built on sovereignty. Because your time of carrying contracts you never signed is over. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. You don't have to keep proving your strength by how much you carry. True power is knowing when to finally put something down and walk forward free. Let that lesson live in your heart now. Because the divine doesn't reward pain for pain's sake. It rewards the soul who chose to rise without applause. Part 2. The decades of self-denial. There are people who spend years chasing happiness. And then, there are people like you, Capricorn, who spend years convincing yourself that you don't need it. Not because you didn't want joy, or rest, or love, but because life taught you, early and harshly, that those things come with a price. And often, you were the one expected to pay it. So you learned to delay yourself. You put your dreams on hold because someone else needed help. You silenced your voice because keeping the peace was more important than being heard. You stayed in situations long past their expiration date. Jobs, relationships, responsibilities. Not because they served you, but because you served them. And little by little, you disappeared. You became the reliable one, the logical one, the grounded one. But deep inside, behind the spreadsheets and schedules, was a quiet ache. A whisper that asked, "When will it ever be my turn?" But you never asked that out loud, did you? Because asking would mean you were needy. Asking would mean you were human. And somewhere along the way, Capricorn, you convinced yourself that being human was inconvenient. So you replaced your needs with tasks, your longings with goals, your loneliness with a packed calendar. And you told yourself, if I keep everything together, then maybe I won't fall apart. But here's what no one tells you. Holding it all together comes at a cost. And the one who pays is you. You became a masterpiece of control. But at what cost? The spontaneous laughter, the vulnerable connection, the mornings where you didn't have to be on, gone, sacrificed. And for what? A stability that no one ever thanked you for. A responsibility that others now expect by default. Capricorn, this is not blame. This is a wake-up call. Because the version of you who sacrificed everything just to feel safe doesn't need to run the show anymore. You've earned the right to choose now. To create a life that doesn't just function, but feels like your own. A life that doesn't drain you, but fills you. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. Self-denial is not a virtue when it becomes self-erasure. You were not born to be background support in everyone else's story. You are here to live fully, boldly, and on your own terms. Capricorn, it's time to stop postponing your joy. The era of endurance is over. The age of embodiment begins now. Part 3. Your pain was never forgotten. Capricorn, do you remember the nights that no one else saw? The ones where the house was quiet. Everyone was asleep. And you were left alone with the weight of everything. The bills, the broken promises, the silent phone, the ache in your chest. The questions that never had answers. You never screamed. You never cursed the sky. You just stared at the ceiling in the dark. And let the tears fall quietly, like they had no right to make a sound. Because even your sadness had to be composed. And for a long time, you told yourself, this doesn't matter. I'm just being dramatic. No one would understand anyway. So you buried it. Buried the loneliness. Buried the fear. Buried the desire to be held. And you moved on. You got up. You went to work. You showed up. Strong. Capable. Reliable. But Capricorn, let me tell you something the world forgot to. The universe never did. Not a single tear was wasted. Not one breath of that quiet pain was ignored. Because pain, when carried in silence, becomes sacred. The kind of sacred that echoes through time. The kind that writes itself into the soul's journey. The kind that calls forth unseen forces to begin rebalancing the scales. You may have thought no one saw how tired you were. But they did, on a level beyond this world. You may have believed your sacrifices were forgotten. But they were recorded. Every time you chose duty over desire. Every time you said yes when you were already depleted. Every time you held back your tears so someone else could feel strong. It's all written in the ether. Your karmic ledger. And it's been counting toward your return. Capricorn, your pain was never meaningless. It was never pointless. It was never in vain. It was proof of your sacred task. And now, that task is complete. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. Just because no one thanked you, doesn't mean it went unnoticed. The deepest sacrifices are not seen by eyes, they are felt by the soul. And the soul always remembers. So let this be the moment you stop minimizing your past. Stop erasing the depth of what you survived. Because now, it's being paid back in full. Part 4. The moment the divine ledger was balanced. There's a place beyond time, beyond space, beyond noise. It's not visible to the eye, but it exists. Some call it the records of Okosho. Some call it the book of life. But for souls like yours, Capricorn, it is known as the divine ledger. And in that sacred book is a page with your name on it. No filters, no fabrications, just truth. Raw, unedited, eternal. On the left side of the page, everything you gave. The weekends you sacrificed to finish someone else's work. The love you poured into people who could never hold it. The nights you pretended you were okay so others didn't worry. The times you held back your own dreams just to support theirs. All of it is there. Line by line, tear by tear, heartbeat by heartbeat. And on the right side of the page, everything your soul gained. Wisdom sharpened by pain. Resilience carved from disappointment. Discernment born from betrayal. Compassion deepened through loneliness. Power not from force, but from surviving silently. And now, the divine keeper, the one who watches over all karmic balance, turns to your page, and for the first time in a long time, the columns match perfectly. Every pain you endured has been accounted for. Every ounce of energy you lost has been transmuted into power. Every disappointment you swallowed has become clarity. There is nothing left to pay. The soul debt is settled. And across that page, in blazing letters of light, is stamped one eternal truth. Paid in full. And in that moment, without fireworks, without applause, the contract of suffering dissolves. Not because you begged, not because you fought, but because your soul has completed what it came to do. This isn't just closure. This is graduation. You are no longer a student of survival. You are the architect of your own liberation. And the universe is no longer testing you. It's now building with you. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. What feels like unfairness in the moment is often sacred accounting in progress. The universe never forgets. It just waits for the perfect moment to restore you, and when it does, it restores everything. Capricorn, this is that moment. The moment your story shifts from endurance to elevation. You earned this, and the universe just confirmed it. Part 5. Karmic clarity, what you really gained. Capricorn, when people talk about success, they talk about things you can touch. The house, the salary, the status, the name. But what if the real wealth is invisible? What if the greatest things you ever gained came disguised as heartbreak, betrayal, and isolation? Let's go back. Every time someone used you, you learned to read energy, not words. Now, you can feel lies before they're even spoken. You know the difference between a genuine soul and a charming manipulator. And you don't need receipts, your body tells you. That's not paranoia. That's spiritual precision. You earned that. Every time someone ghosted you when you needed them most, you learned the sacred art of self-reliance. You stopped expecting others to save you. You became the fire, the anchor, the home you never had. Now, people come to you for grounding, but you don't collapse when they leave. That's not detachment. That's energetic sovereignty. You earned that too. Every time you hit rock bottom financially, you discovered what no job could ever teach you. Resourcefulness, grit, and intuitive strategy. You started seeing wealth not as a number, but as flow, energy, and alignment. And now you know, money isn't power. Awareness is. You no longer chase. You attract. Because you know who you are. That's not luck. That's spiritual intelligence. And you've earned that the hard way. Every night you cried in silence. You learned that tears aren't weakness. They're sacred water washing off illusions. And when the tears stopped, you were never the same. You stopped needing permission. You stopped seeking applause. You started choosing peace. Now, your silence isn't emptiness. It's presence. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you've finally found clarity, and you don't waste it on noise. Capricorn, let this sink in. You didn't just survive. You transmuted. Your suffering wasn't wasted, it was alchemy. You turned pain into discernment, loneliness into wholeness, sacrifice into strength. You don't owe the world your story anymore. You've already turned it into wisdom. And that is wealth no one can steal. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. Every pain carries a seed. You either bury it in bitterness or grow something sacred from it. Capricorn, you chose to grow, and that choice made you untouchable. Let them wonder how you keep rising. Let them call it mystery. But you and the universe, you both know exactly what it took. And now, you carry what no one can teach, only earn. Part 6. The shift in frequency has begun. Capricorn, you didn't change your hair. You didn't buy a new car. You didn't suddenly become louder, funnier, or flashier. But people are noticing you differently. Why? Because your frequency has changed. And energy doesn't lie. For years, you carried the vibration of survival. It was quiet, heavy, bound by duty. You didn't mean to, it was just the air you breathed. The frequency of I'll handle it, of I don't need help, of I'll wait my turn. And so, that's what the world gave you. More to handle, less support, longer delays. Not out of cruelty, but because your frequency was telling the universe, I can bear this. So it believed you. But now, something has shifted. And you may not have words for it, but you can feel it. People are treating you with more care, more curiosity, more pause. Your boss, who never respected your input, now looks you in the eyes. That friend who used to take without giving, suddenly pulls back. Even strangers seem to sense your presence. It's not magic. It's physics. When your soul stops broadcasting I'm available for sacrifice, and starts radiating I honor myself now, the field reorganizes. Suddenly, doors that were shut for years open quietly. Phone calls that used to drain you stop coming. Invitations arrive without effort. And people who used to underestimate you can't quite place what changed. But they know they can't treat you the same anymore. Because now, your energy carries something rare. Dignity. Not arrogance. Not coldness. But an unwavering inner flame that says, I know who I am now. I know what I've endured. And I will not shrink to fit where I no longer belong. You no longer chase. You no longer prove. You simply are. And that changes everything. Because when your frequency changes, the universe has no choice but to respond in kind. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. The world doesn't change when you shout louder. It changes when your energy becomes undeniable. Your greatest transformation isn't visible, it's vibrational. Capricorn, this new frequency is your signature. Wear it with quiet pride. Let it do the talking. Let it draw in what belongs. And silently, let it remove what never did. Because from this point forward, your energy is your gatekeeper and your greatest protector. Part 7. The 3 final chains that must be released. Capricorn, the transformation has already begun. But there's something you must understand. Even when the universe says yes, you still have to say yes back. You have to let go of what no longer fits your frequency. And that begins with releasing 3 invisible chains that have wrapped around your heart for far too long. 1. Guilt for your past choices. This one is quiet and dangerous. It shows up in the late night what ifs. The small voice that says, if I had just spoken up, if I hadn't stayed so long, if I hadn't trusted them. But here's the truth, Capricorn. You didn't know what you know now. You were surviving. You were doing your best with the wisdom you had at the time. And sometimes, survival looks like silence. Sometimes, love looks like overgiving. Sometimes, hope looks like staying too long. You didn't fail. You learned. And learning is never shameful, it's sacred. So place your hand on your chest and say, I forgive the version of me who didn't know better. I honor who I was, because they got me here. That's not weakness. That's power. 2. Resentment toward those who hurt you. This one burns. It lives behind your politeness. Behind your I'm fine. Behind the smile you gave to people who stabbed you in the back. They took advantage. They left when you needed them. They lied, disappeared, betrayed. And your spirit wanted to believe it didn't matter, that you could rise above it. But Capricorn, pain unspoken becomes poison. Resentment doesn't protect you. It binds you to people who never deserved access to your soul. So what now? You don't have to excuse them. You don't have to talk to them. You don't even have to understand them. You just have to release them. Because your story has outgrown them. Say this silently. You were a lesson, not a life sentence. I release you now. I return your energy, and I reclaim mine. And just like that, the chain loosens. 3. Regret for lost time. This is the most deceptive chain. Because it looks like logic. It says, you should have started earlier. You wasted too many years. You're behind. But Capricorn, behind what? Who wrote that timeline? Who decided your growth was late? They didn't see the foundation you were building underground. In silence, in storms, in shadow. You weren't wasting time. You were preparing for a life that wouldn't collapse when pressure came. Others rushed. You endured. And now, you're ready. Say this with reverence. I am not late. I am right on time for my story. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. You don't enter your new life by addition. You enter it by subtraction. What you let go of defines what you're ready to receive. Capricorn, the chains are open. But only you can choose to step out of them. Not for the world. Not for revenge. But for your own peace. Because you were never meant to carry these 3 weights forever. You were meant to rise. Part 8. The quiet miracles that will follow. Capricorn, don't expect fireworks. Don't expect the sky to split open. Don't expect angels singing your name. That's not how miracles arrive for souls like yours. You've walked through life too quietly for your blessings to come loud. No, for you, the divine speaks in whispers. And if you listen closely now, you'll start to hear them. One morning, you'll wake up, and for the first time in a long time, there will be no panic in your chest. No dread. No heavy fog of fear about what the day will demand. Just silence. But not the empty kind. A silence that feels like peace. That's a miracle. You'll check your messages. And that person who never respected your boundaries won't be there anymore. Not because you forced them out, but because your new energy no longer lets them stay. That's a miracle. You'll walk into a room, and someone will stop mid-sentence. Look at you, really see you, and speak to you with respect you never had to ask for. That's a miracle. An idea will land in your mind, clear, strong, purposeful. The kind you used to chase. Now, it finds you. That's a miracle. A song will play on the radio. A stranger will say the exact words you needed. A door that was locked for 10 years will quietly creak open. No force. No striving. Just alignment. That's what happens when you stop surviving and start allowing. These aren't coincidences, Capricorn. They're confirmations. They are divine echoes, rippling outward from the new energy you now carry. The universe is reintroducing itself to you, not as your judge, but as your collaborator. And every day, it will ask you one question. Will you let it be easy now? You don't have to perform anymore. You don't have to overgive. You don't have to prove that you're worthy of softness. You already are. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. The miracles you seek don't arrive when you're ready to fight for them. They arrive when you're finally ready to receive them. Capricorn, you've carried enough. Now is your time to open both hands. Not for burden, but for blessing. Because they're already on the way. In fact, some of them have already arrived. You just needed to slow down enough To finally notice. Part 9. Your graduation from the School of Suffering. Capricorn, for years, you thought you were being tested. You believed that every betrayal, every heartbreak, every lonely night was just life being unfair. But now, with clearer eyes and a lighter heart, you're beginning to understand something deeper. Something cosmic. This wasn't punishment. This wasn't random cruelty. This was training. A sacred, brutal, spiritual education. You enrolled in a curriculum that only the bravest souls choose. The School of Suffering. You didn't ask for it. But your soul knew. Knew that you were here not to live a comfortable life, but to become unchangeable in your core. You were refined in the dark. Like a sword forged in fire. Like a diamond crushed under earth. Like a mountain carved by wind and time. And now you've passed the final test. You no longer beg for peace. You embody it. You no longer ask for recognition. You walk in self-knowing. And the universe, it sees you now. Not as a student, but as a master of resilience. Your robe is not made of gold. It's woven from every sleepless night. Every goodbye that broke you. Every morning you got up anyway. And your diploma, it's invisible but unshakable. It's the way you carry yourself now. The way your eyes no longer chase validation. The way you walk through chaos without absorbing it. Because you've graduated. And now, you don't need to fight your way forward. You simply need to design the life you've been preparing for. You are no longer a survivor. You are an architect of peace. Let that sink in. You are not waiting for someone to build you a throne. You are building your own sanctuary. A life where you are no longer currency. Where your worth is not defined by how much you sacrifice, but by how deeply you've come home to yourself. Capricorn, this graduation, it's not an ending. It's your beginning. You are ready. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. Pain isn't your identity. It was your initiation. You survived the fire not to stay burned, but to become the flame. You've walked through the hardest parts alone. Now, you walk forward with a new name, a new energy, and a new role. Not the one who suffers, but the one who creates. Part 10. Your declaration, my state is dignity. Capricorn, everything you've been through has led you here. Not to a moment of collapse, but to a moment of choice. Because destiny isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you agree to with your words, your energy, your declaration. And now, it's time for yours. Take a breath. Inhale the years you carried everyone else's weight. Exhale the years you thought you weren't enough. Feel it leaving you. All of it. The guilt. The resentment. The regret. Gone. And in its place, space. Space for who you really are. Capricorn, pick up a pen. Pick up a scrap of paper. Or simply close your eyes and see the words etched in light before you. Write this. Say this. Claim this. My state is dignity. Not shame. Not striving. Not sacrifice. Dignity. Because dignity means you no longer negotiate your worth. It means your energy is not up for discount. It means you no longer apologize for existing. It means you walk into every room, whether silent or filled with noise, and your soul says, I belong here. I am whole here. I am already enough. Capricorn, this declaration is not a dream. It's not a wish. It's not even a prayer. It's your new baseline, your starting point, your identity. And from this moment forward, life will meet you at the level of your declaration. No more proving, no more begging, no more waiting. You have declared it. And the universe always honors the truth spoken from the soul. Life lesson, a truth you can live by. You don't rise by chance. You rise by declaration. The moment you choose dignity over sacrifice, the universe rearranges itself around your truth. So carry this, Capricorn. Every day, every choice, every breath. Your suffering was real, but it was never the end. This declaration is your beginning, and dignity is now your eternal state. Conclusion: the book of strength has just opened. Capricorn, your story has been long, and hard, and heavy. You've walked through chapters no one else could have endured. You were the pillar, the provider, the protector. But behind it all, you were also the one who carried the silent weight. The weight of being the strong one, the responsible one, the one who never asks for help. But that chapter has closed. The ink has dried, and stamped across the final page is a phrase that changes everything. Paid in full. Your contract with suffering has ended. And now, a new book is placed in your hands. Its cover is smooth. Its pages are blank. But its title glows in gold. The Book of Strength. Not strength built from struggle, but strength built from self-possession. Strength that's quiet, grounded, unshakable. And now, you are the author. No more living by other people's expectations. No more holding back to make others comfortable. No more burying your light to make space for their shadows. This is your time to rise, to receive, to reclaim your rightful place in the divine order of things. Not as a servant to karma, but as a co-creator of destiny. You are no longer waiting for peace. You are peace. You are no longer asking for respect. You radiate it. And from this moment forward, life will begin to mirror what you finally believe. You were never broken. You were being built. And now, you are whole. Final life lesson, a truth you can live by. You are not the result of your pain. You are the keeper of its wisdom. And now, you have permission to build a life that feels like truth, not survival. Call to action, from Zodiac Secrets Revealed. If this message found you in the dark, it's because your light is already rising. This isn't just a video, it's a mirror. And if you saw yourself in these words, if something in your chest stirred, or something in your soul whispered "this is me," then you've already begun your new chapter. So don't walk this new path alone. Subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed, where the silence of your strength is no longer ignored. It's honored. Where the wisdom of your scars is no longer hidden. It's celebrated. Leave a comment. Tell your story. Let others know. Capricorn has risen. Because your story is no longer about endurance. It's about becoming.